Okay, guys, I have a few tips, and I'm going to share with you what I've done on my profile to get a all-star status profile strength in LinkedIn. So first, a few recommendations. Now, some of the things that you might not believe are necessary or that you don't think will improve your LinkedIn profile probably actually will improve your LinkedIn profile, such as having a profile picture, of course, and a background. So obviously you'll want to go to Google and figure out what is the recommended dimensions for a background image. The overall look and feel of your LinkedIn profile will help other people kind of understand, one, how important having your LinkedIn profile up to date is to you, and generally what type of attitude you have in your business, as far as marketing yourself. This is like your resume. Okay, this is like a public portfolio. This is where a lot of businesses will look, if you have a profile, for one, where a lot of businesses will look to get general information about you, to kind of try to get an idea of how serious you are with not only your own businesses but in your professional life, right? So right off the bat, a couple of things I can recommend is, one, have a profile photo. Okay, I've got a profile photo here. Two, include your industry and location. If obviously for me, I'm in Carville, Tennessee currently, and my industry is marketing and advertising. You want to update your current position along with a description. So for me, I like to have my current position as the owner and founder of my own companies, which are Memphis Entrepreneur Club, The Label Lust, and 901 Customs. So take note of how I've written out my current position: founder @ Memphis Entrepreneur Club, a vertical separation bar, and then CEO and creative director @ the Label Lust and 901 Customs. But in my profile, I also have Memphis Entrepreneur Club listed as a company, and the Label Lust also listed as a company. So I've created company pages for my brands. Memphis Entrepreneur Club has its own page in LinkedIn. The Label Lust has its own page in LinkedIn. If you don't have your own company or brand, this isn't necessary, but you'll want to find the current company that you work for on LinkedIn and make sure that they are listed in your profile as your current position. Even go back and find your previous ones. So you want to have at least two past positions listed in your LinkedIn profile, places you've worked before. So for me, let me go back to the top. Previous, I've got Primerica Financial Services and Investments, and I was also able to list Secret Entourage in here. Secret Entourage is a private community that I've joined, that I'm a part of, and they have a LinkedIn profile. So I was able to list them as a previous, even though I didn't necessarily work for them. I've been involved in that community, and that's a good community to show that you're involved in. You want to insert your educational details. So I have my high school, my college, and also, extended education, courses that I've taken, whether it be on Lydia or Linda, whatever the name of the website is. I think it's lynda.com. Let me see. You can find different e-course websites, but let's see. Some of the ones that pop up on the front are like ecourses.mobi. Let's see. Okay, so I was right. Lynda.com, Lynda. So if you take any Lynda courses, you can list those courses in your LinkedIn profile as completed. You can list any certifications from those courses. That lets other businesses know that you are looking for alternative education as well, and extending your knowledge in the fields that you are in professionally, or the fields that you're interested in. You're going out of your way to learn things, and you're investing your money and time into continued education outside of college or high school, or whatever courses you might have taken in school, or in your jobs. You've taken courses outside of it. So if you have done any continued education with e-courses, list those in your profiles as like certificates, or however you can list those. And I'll show you some examples in a second. You want to have a minimum of 3 skills. So if I scroll down, I've got, let's see, skills and endorsements. I think I don't have too many people endorsing me, but I've listed all the skills that I've had interest in, and that I have experience in with business, and just things that I've taken the time to learn on my own. You want to have at least a minimum of 3. And another thing that you want to do right off the bat is try to get 50 connections. Don't just add random people though. I know you've got a lot of friends who are on LinkedIn, a lot of people that you know in your city, but try to actually go and add people that are relative to your network or your industry. Let's say you're trying to get into banking. Try to find the people that that are in the banking industry, or works at or in some bank in your city. But try to also find people who are key people in that specific industry, in that market, like big key players. So if you're trying to connect with network or with investors, it'll be hard to get in touch with like Mark Cuban on LinkedIn, but I'm sure you can do your research and find people who know him personally who have LinkedIn profiles. So you want to build your network around your industry, and build a network with people that are connected to the people that you ultimately want to connect to. Okay, that's a big deal. So the connections you have kind of play a key role in your LinkedIn profile, and who sees you. So if you have 1,000 connections and they're all just kind of random people who have worked at McDonald's and Target and Walmart and your local retailer, those connections won't be seen as really important connections. So you won't necessarily be seen as important to other people on LinkedIn, or the important people on LinkedIn. So you definitely want to have a curated connection of people who have a higher status. You want to try to find people who own businesses. If you are a business owner yourself, you want to try to find people who are founders, or who are the founders of startups if you are founding a startup. Okay, you want to find key people that can play a major role in your business potentially to connect with. And like I said, if you want to connect with someone like Ty Lopez, Gary Vaynerchuk, instead of trying to connect with them directly, it's recommended that you connect with people they know. And over time, obviously you want to build a real relationship with those people. Eventually someone might recommend you to that Ty Lopez or Gary Vaynerchuk. But don't try to just, how many people are reaching out to them every day. You want to actually go through their network. That's a more strategic way that will actually work, because there aren't many people doing it that way. Okay, so go through their network and connect with those important people who play a key role in, for instance, VaynerMedia. If you're trying to get a job at VaynerMedia, you want to connect with people who work there, people who have worked there, people who play key roles there, not necessarily try to go straight for the top guy. Because if you have 50 or 100 connections in common with the top guy, you're more likely to be able to connect with him. A lot of these key people you can't connect with. You have to have a email address or a contact that is validated to be able to send a connection request. So going through their network, you may get the opportunity to be recommended to that key player, or get the information you need to send out the connection to that person. So yeah, with a little bit of effort, you can easily complete your LinkedIn profile and achieve an all-star profile strength. But you want a complete and robust profile to stay, connected and extend your personal brand. A couple other things. You want to have a professional header with keywords. So obviously founder is one of the biggest keywords with LinkedIn, but editing your profile, you've got your summary. I've done my summary to where it's kind of got bullet points. All right, so who am I? I like to keep mine personal. Everybody has their opinion on what's professional, what works and what doesn't, or what should be said. Don't try to sound like someone. Don't try to be a person that you're not just to get the attention of a key person. You want to actually be yourself, but actually, take the time to think about what it looks like when another person reads your profile. So for me, I'm pretty straightforward. I'm pretty blunt. Occasionally I'll, kind of have this in your face attitude with my ambition. And my very first line is, I'm a guy that likes to get shit done and put a smile on people's faces in the process. So that's genuinely what I like to do. I genuinely like to put a smile on people's faces. So I lead with that in my summary. Entrepreneur, consultant. So I start off in the first set of bullets with some keywords where people can, if they search these keywords, they are more likely to find my profile because I have these keywords in the beginning of my summary. What I have done, what I enjoy as a side interest, and my experience areas. That's how I've written out my summary. But what you want to do is go and look at other key members who have a LinkedIn and see their summary and how each person's summary differs, how those big people have written out their bios. You'll see a lot of big people who are LinkedIn influencers who don't really have a bio. They don't really have any information, but they're influencers, so they don't necessarily have to. Okay, so every time let's say you watch a YouTube video about 50 biggest startups or 50 most popular tech founders or something like that, and they say the person's first and last name, don't look at that as an opportunity to watch a video and learn something. Look at that as an opportunity to search that person up on Facebook and LinkedIn and try to connect with them. Okay, so in doing that, you'll get a much better network on your LinkedIn when you actually take the time to try to reach out to people. A lot of people add me on LinkedIn. I'm not just too quick to accept random people adding me unless I think they bring value to my business and my long-term growth. So that's one thing that I like to keep in mind is who I'm adding. Okay, so that's kind of an important factor as well. Here I've got links that go to my social media networks, Facebook and Snapchat. I've got images up here to kind of give you an idea of what my interests are and what I look like. And then I've got documents uploaded, my cover letter and my resume. Okay, so whether or not you want to do something to this extent is up to you, but this definitely improves your profile status when you upload images and you have content embedded in each of the images. Under experience, like I said, I've added my businesses to the LinkedIn business directory. So Memphis Entrepreneur Club has its own LinkedIn page. If you work for FedEx already has a page. So you want to add that FedEx page as your current or previous position. Don't just go in there and add FedEx, but don't without linking it to the actual FedEx LinkedIn. Okay, so when you say you work at FedEx on LinkedIn, you should have FedEx tagged, just like in Facebook. What I see a lot of people doing in Facebook wrong is saying they work at a particular location, but they don't actually tag the real business page that has millions of followers. They just tag some random FedEx page on Facebook that some random person set up that has 2 or 3 likes or 0 likes, and you won't see any company information. You won't see a company picture. You won't see a company description. It's just some random directory in Facebook for FedEx, for example, where FedEx actually does have a Facebook profile. So if there's a FedEx in Memphis on Facebook, you can add that particular Facebook page as your current workplace. Do the same thing in LinkedIn. If you don't have a business directory, or you don't want to add, for instance, your business or your startup to the LinkedIn business directory, you can simply add it as a position. So this one, 901 Customs, I don't have a directory for this one, but in each listing that I add, I also add the website. So let's see, founder, owner, company, display name. In some cases, okay, I know what I did. I add the website in the description, and of course a little bit of information about what I do at this particular location or for this particular brand or business. And for each section I add the logo, and sometimes I'll add an additional image to give you an idea of what services I provide for this particular business, or what position I play in this particular company. So founder, owner of Connect Entertainment, there's a photo of me, at an event, and then there's a logo. Founder, owner of 901 King Productions, there are 2 separate logos. Okay, and the website associated with that brand. Founder, owner of the label Us Apparel, the logos and the website that's associated with it is listed in here as well. A member of Secret Entourage. So if you're part of any communities, any nonprofits, any of those organizations, you want to add every single organization and community project into your LinkedIn profile. So I'm a member of Secret Entourage. This is not a free membership, so that's kind of what makes it a little bit better. I actually paid to join this Secret Academy community. So they have a LinkedIn page, for their business. I was able to add that inside of my, like kind of like a position, but, I just listed myself as a member. A previous company, Primerica, I was a district leader. That was the highest position that I obtained. Financial services and investments, the duration of my involvement, and information about what I did, what I offered, and my experience there. Some other things that I add occasionally are projects. So every time I do a web design project, or every time I complete a task for a particular industry that I'm working in, or for a company that I'm working for, I add that as a project. So for 901 Customs, I do website designs. Every single time I design a website, I add it as a project. I add the URL to that website for my project. I add my occupation. So founder at 901 Customs is basically the business that this project falls under, and a little bit of information about what I did in the project, my key role for this particular project. All right, so you might not have an extensive history of doing projects or starting businesses, but as much information as you think could be beneficial to, let's say your resume. Obviously, your resume has got to be short and sweet and to the point, the most important information, but your LinkedIn profile gives you the opportunity to expand on those key projects and key roles that you have had. You want to be as detailed as possible because someone is going to be looking for what you're capable of. So these are all of the projects, and I continuously add a project every time I complete one. Another thing that I have done is added a partner. So another person who is on LinkedIn who I've either worked with, who is a co-worker or a co-founder in one of my businesses, or a key player in one of my businesses. I have added them into some of my projects as, a contributor. Okay. And I've tagged their actual LinkedIn profile here as a contributor. So, if you have other team members and people that you work with on certain projects, that are, pretty important projects, whether it be for a nonprofit organization or for a fundraiser or some type of campaign. Wherever possible, you want to add those key people if they have a LinkedIn profile. Now, the rating of their profile doesn't really matter. Whether or not they added information, it doesn't really matter, but it shows that you are you're a team player and you can work with people. You want to add any volunteer work that you have done. So if you haven't done any volunteer work, I recommend at least doing a couple of things for volunteer. Really anything can be listed here. If you've done some work for a friend, if you've done some volunteer work as setting up a website, or if you've just kind of gone out of your way to do something pro bono for someone, you can definitely add that here. It doesn't matter what it is, but this gives you the opportunity to show that you care about doing things outside of what you have to do for your work, right? Honors and awards. I've got a lot of awards for not only in school, but for some of the financial services that I've provided for a financial company that I've worked for in the past. You want to list any honors or awards that you may have, and that will definitely boost up your profile. As for education, I obviously have my high school and the university that I went to. Additional information such as interests, personal details, and contacts. I'm going to talk about the contact in a second, but let me go down to certifications. So any certifications that you have, any license numbers that you have for your certifications, I recommend you add those in here. Obviously, you want to put your languages. That's a pretty important part. If you are bilingual, you want to definitely add your languages that you speak. Courses that you've taken and completed. So I have some boot camps that I've taken as like digital e-courses, semantic mastery for SEO, Shopify. I've added those courses in here because like I said, continued education. Some businesses want to see that you are investing in your own knowledge and investing in yourself outside of what you're required to do. You want to add yourself to groups, any groups that you feel are important to you or your network. You want to follow key people and key companies. I've followed my own company as well. And, I follow my school. So for contact information, and I know I'm going through this kind of fast. Obviously, you can go back and rewatch the replay. I'll upload this to my YouTube channel. But it's not really complicated. It's not hard to do. There's not a lot of in-depth information you really need to get an all-star rating, but you want to touch all bases. If there's something that you can fill it out. Volunteering experience and opportunities. If you're looking for opportunities, add those volunteering opportunities to your profile. Okay. Organizations, test scores, publications, patents. If you have any of that, I recommend add whatever is applicable to your LinkedIn profile. So another thing I like to do is occasionally I'll go in here and I'll post articles. I'll literally spend 4 to 5 hours, maybe once every 3 days or twice every week, writing articles. I design the images and everything myself. That's not necessarily something that you have to learn how to do, but I look at other articles that are on LinkedIn and how they're written, how much engagement they're getting, and I kind of mold the way that I write my article from what I've seen on Forbes.com, entrepreneur.com, and even on LinkedIn. I try to give valuable information wherever possible. So this kind of shows that not only am I here to take as much value as I can, I'm also trying to contribute value to the LinkedIn community and building myself up as an authority. So this doesn't play a huge role in your LinkedIn rating, your profile, but it definitely helps, and it definitely helps build your network, which does play a role in your rating. So as far as contact information, obviously you want to have real contact info. You want to add any contact information that is beneficial to your network. And I recommend, if you haven't already, to take my free YouTube course on setting up a WordPress website. And I recommend you get a website listed under your own business name or your own name as a influencer or as a persona. So for me, I have Corions.com. It basically shows everything that I'm interested in, all the projects, that links to all the projects that I've done. This is really just a big one-page website that gives you all the information about everything that I do. Again, your website doesn't necessarily have to be this visually vibrant, but having a website and putting real, tangible, important information in that website for contacting who you are, what you're interested in, what you do, what industries you've impacted, what goals you have set for yourself, what projects you're working on. Setting up a real website and taking time to put legitimate information on your website is going to kind of give you a boost in how visible you are to other communities on the internet in your industry. So for me, I always recommend try to get your first and last name.com or something as close as possible to it. Corions.com is the website that I've built for myself. I've got testimonials on here, projects, and blog publications, contact information. But I've also registered my domain name to have a custom email address with my domain. So Corions.com, if you wanted to email me, hire@Corions.com is my main email for hiring me into your company to do some marketing. hustlewith@Corions.com is the email that I use for collaborations. So because my emails have @Corions.com and not at Gmail, not at Yahoo, not at AOL or at Hotmail, at Outlook, because it's a official @Corions.com email, that also shows not only LinkedIn, but other people that are potentially interested in networking with me that I'm serious about my impact on the online community. I'm serious about my networking. So when I set my profile up, I like to use my main email address for people who might be interested in hiring me into their business as hire@Corions.com. I've got my social Twitter, so I've got 2 Twitters in here, @Corions or the label Lust. I've got my websites listed under my contact info, so you can see I have a personal, a portfolio, and my company website. I have about 50 websites, but these are the top 3. And I think LinkedIn only lets you use 3 websites. I've got my phone number listed in here as well. And like I said, if you have a general resume or CV or cover letter that can basically outline some of the most important elements of the value that you can bring into a business, I recommend you create that and upload it to LinkedIn as well. When I upload like a PSD, this goes into I think it's SlideShare or something that's linked into LinkedIn. But when you upload text documents and CVs and resumes, they actually get ported over to a software that's integrated within LinkedIn. So kind of doing a full, thorough setup process with my LinkedIn, I filled out as much information as I was able to fill out. I didn't leave anything blank unless there was literally no information there for me to fill it out. Obviously you don't want to lie in your profile and just fill shit out just to fill it out. But as you can see, I even have a banner here, which is obviously not necessary, but it's always recommended. You definitely want to do as much as you are capable of doing in your LinkedIn profile. And I guarantee once you spend a couple of days getting all the assets and information together, you'll have an all-star rating. If you have any questions, any comments, or suggestions for how other people could also improve their LinkedIns, post a comment below or send me a direct message, and maybe I'll even update a video in the future. As for now, I'm not using a premium LinkedIn profile. Obviously, when you set up your LinkedIn profile, you want to make sure that you validate your email address by checking your email and confirming that you are who you say you are, validating your phone number if it asks you to, validating any other information that you add in your settings. But you want to go through your settings and set up all your information, such as language, your account, your basic account settings. So I'm not even using a premium account. And there you go.